hope is the possibility to dissolve paradigms and start a new way of life and approaching opportunities to those who didn't have them before. I am Alejandro Brauer and I share hope.
Welcome to I Share Hope, the podcast where world leaders share their real stories of hope and how you can use actionable hope to start changing your life today. And now, here's your host, Chris Williams.
Hello, Chris.
Alejandro, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
Man, it's good to talk to you. So
it's good to talk to you too. I'm very pleased to meet you.
I'm pleased to meet you as well. Man, I was just digging through your resume, your bio, and I've never gotten so lost. It's a compliment. I've never gotten so lost in a bio. There's so much. How
so far it sounds like it's not.
Are you like 80? I mean, how have you gotten so much done?
I'm not 80. I feel like 80, and I look like 80, but I'm 42.
You don't look like 80.
Close though.
So where are you sitting right now?
This is the little studio of what used to be my home for many years in Cuernavaca. I live now in Mexico City.
Okay. That's so cool, man. So it used to be, what do you mean? Where is it now? Where do you...
It's Cuernavaca, which is a small city near Mexico City, but I live now in Mexico City.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's a big town.
It is a big town, but it's an exciting city, and it's an affordable Manhattan.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, am I right? You speak Spanish, French, and English all fluently. Not you can just pass on vacation, but you can literally do it, right?
Yeah, I can do an interview in English.
That's amazing. So, how many interviews or how many speaking engagements do you get in French?
I've had a few.
Where do you use your French? How do you keep that fluent?
My family was French. My mom's on my mom's side.
No kidding.
They were French.
Cool.
So we are French Mexican.
Awesome.
I speak French with my daughter, and I speak French with my mother. And my brother hates French, so he doesn't speak French. He does, but he doesn't use it, and he understands it.
Yeah.
And with my nephews and my niece.
Okay. Okay. Great. Good.
But professionally as well, I do speak French, and through Stimula, I've had the chance to go abroad. I worked I was for instance, in Paris in the Human Rights Platform, or I was in Geneva, or I was in Belgium in different conferences, and there. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you listening or watching via YouTube or podcast, this guy has done so much work in human rights. I'm going to call it human rights. It's definitely had a slant, if I can get this right, a slant in some disability issues, but then it's gone into a lot of social equality, and he's gotten a platform where he's able to speak to world leaders from literally all over the world, leaders from countries far and wide, and they're listening to what he has to say because there's so much education behind him. There's so much research, so much actual trial and error and experience, real life, not just in the colleges, but in legit real life activity. So I can't tell you how privileged we are and how glad I am to talk to you today. Thank you for your time. Seriously.
And how flattered I am. Thank you. Thank you, on the contrary.
Oh, no, privilege is mine. So, Alejandro, here's how we do this. We interview 1,000 people from around the world, people that are leading in the area of hope, and that's definitely you. And we ask them 5 simple questions about hope. The answers are never simple, but the questions are. I get to ask the simple part. You got to do the hard part. And these are your answers. We don't want to make you do it a certain way. There's no right or wrong here. It's purely how would you answer these questions? You're representing 8 million people. That's how it breaks out if you do the world population times divided by 1,000. So the pressure's on, man. You got to represent your 8 million well.
Thank you very much.
All right, you ready for question 1?
That sounds a little compromising. Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Well, before we jump in, I just tilt the camera up. I got to see that artwork behind you.
Oh, my shoes.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I love it's a painting. It's an oil. And It's an original one from a guy who's he has schizophrenia, and I had the chance to meet him when I was at a certain moment when we were migrating Stimulo from being an organization that worked only for people with intellectual disabilities, and we opened little by little the spectrum of our services to people as well that have other types of disabilities, especially psychosocial disability, which is all the spectrum of psychiatric disorders.
Sure.
And I met this guy a few years ago, and he sold this painting in an auction for Stimulo. It was a fundraising event for Stimulo.
Wow.
And Stimulo kept it, and Stimulo kept the money, but the person who bought it in the auction said, "I donate the money and I donate the painting."
Wow.
So Stimulo kept it, and then I bought it from Stimulo little by little with my salary for a few months, and I got it, and now it's at home.
Wow.
Because it actually represents, and I'm glad you mentioned it, Chris, because they're shoes, but I like to think more that it's there are steps and paths, and everybody has a different path. But at certain moments, our paths join and intersect, and that's part of the spirit of the work that I've been doing.
That's beautiful.
I like it. That's why I like it so much.
I can see that. It totally fits where you're at. It fits our conversation too. Our paths sure haven't crossed before, but I'm glad they are today.
Yeah, and I had no. How did you find me anyway?
Man, we're looking. So we researched a ton. I have a full-time staff member. Her name is Sai. She does nothing but look and screen through and decide who we are going to pick to be on these interviews. She does some production work and manages some of that too, but most of her time is actually spent just calling down and deciding who are we going to interview, because there's a lot of great people out there we could interview, but we want to make sure we're getting it right.
Of course, yeah. There's a lot of people, and there are a lot of projects and a lot of movements, because a lot of people, I guess everybody wants to save this world, and everybody wants to save the planet, and everybody wants to save the people that live in this planet. And everybody thinks, suspect, or know that a new way of life is absolutely needed, that we need to evolve and change constantly. So yes, there's a lot of people provoking new changes and creating new ways to live, and
that's great. Well, I'm really glad we found you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. But there are a ton more there.
There are.
The younger generations are coming with new ideas, and it's amazing how many things these youngsters are doing.
Yeah, it is. You know, this is a 10-year project that we're doing, so I can't wait to get 10 years into this and see what's changed from the first interviews to the last, to see what progress we've actually made. It'll be a decade long. So this will be fun.
It sounds great, and congratulations for your project.
Oh, thank you for making it possible. Okay, question 1 for you, sir. What is your definition of hope, or your favorite quote about hope?
I recently, this is an idea that came up to my mind recently. I was now I have shifted a little bit my professional activities, and I'm consulting offices from the government and private companies in terms of diversity, so they can create programs towards diversity and to reduce discrimination in the working market. Period. So part of the job, part of the consultation has sensitization workshops. And in these sensitization workshops, there is a moment where we discuss, like the employees and the providers of the workshop, that is me with someone else. And we discuss, we talk. And we were talking about homosexuality, and we were talking about different ways of life. And this led us to gender discussion and to talk about gender issues.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of people that still confuse the difference between sex and gender, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So sex, there are only two, men and women.
Right.
And gender, it's a lot of
expressions of that.
A lot of expressions, exactly. Yeah. And gender is everything that culturally has to be done or said or acted just because you were born with this or that sex.
Right.
To explain this takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment that people were getting into the idea, and that I could see our little audience that are the same people that we're consulting, I saw in a certain moment that they were already integrating the idea, and they were throwing ideas, throwing into the discussion ideas. And I said that it's, for instance, when people say that boys don't cry, men don't cry. And it works better probably in Spanish, because in Spanish, when we talk about the human being, we can say as well the word hombre,
mm-hmm.
and hombre means man mm-hmm. in English. But we use it as well as to refer to the species,
gotcha.
human species.
Yes.
So when I said the hombres don't cry, this is a gender issue. Somebody else from the audience said, anyone that says that it's because they don't really know what the word hombre means.
Wow.
In English would be that what she was saying is that anyone that says that it's because they don't really know what human being means to be.
Wow.
And I cried.
That's profound. You cried, yeah.
I cried. I burst up in tears, and I said, "That's the point."
That's it. Yeah.
So, for me, hope is the possibility to dissolve paradigms and start a new way of life.
That's a good
and
definition.
Offer new possibilities to those who didn't have them before.
Say that again. That is so good.
For me, hope is the possibility of dissolving paradigms and approaching opportunities to those who didn't have them before.
I love that. I don't think we've had anybody really target dissolving paradigms as part of hope. That's really insightful.
That's what I think.
Yeah. That's great.
All my life, my professional, and probably since I was a kid, but all my professional life has been about dissolving paradigms, just to see if we were wrong or not, just to see if people with disabilities are really incapable of having a normal life, just to see, exposing them with dignity to the risk,
mm-hmm.
to the risk of going to buy the groceries, to the risk of having a girlfriend or a boyfriend, to the risk of buying something that they actually choose.
Mm-hmm.
The paradigm of having the possibility to fall in love with someone who's HIV positive,
mm-hmm.
and having a normal sex life in spite of the fact that I'm not HIV positive.
Right.
So that has been my work all my life.
That's a good work. Wow. Thank you.
It's fun.
It sounds like it.
It has to be fun, otherwise you just quit.
Right. All right, well, question 2 should be good then. Who shared that kind of hope with you? Who's shared the most hope with you in your life?
I think first of all, my family that understood that little kid who kept on asking why. You have to brush your teeth. Why? Because if you don't, they will get this and that. And why? Because there are bacteria in your mouth. But why? Because bacteria. And it always ended up in because I said so and I'm your father, right?
Right.
But they allowed me to question everything. And they gave me all the information, which was great as parenting and co-parenting. My mom and dad were great with me in that sense. They gave me all the information. And once I had the information, which responded to the whys, I wanted to see if it was true or not. Not because I didn't believe, but because I wanted to see if it was possible another way.
Great.
So first of all, my family. And then when you dissolve a paradigm, what you do is to provoke a doubt where there was no doubt. So people that start questioning with me and start exploring for answers and exploring for possibilities have shared that hope with me and have triggered my strategies to dissolve paradigms and to establish or create programs or activities or organizations that actually do and go ahead with these new ways of life.
Awesome.
I can tell you that my daughter who grew up with all this surrounding her, once I was driving and she was with a little friend. They were very, very young. My daughter was 5 years old and her friend as well. They were classmates. And I was driving towards the home of this little girl because she spent the day with us, and I was driving her back to her house.
Yeah.
And she asked my daughter, "What does your father do?" And she said, "He works with people with intellectual disabilities," because she had memorized the word.
Sure.
And the other friend said, "What is that?" And she said, "I really don't know, but it is people that have different ways of thinking, that they're not like you and me." And the girl said, "Oh, they're retarded." She said, No, they're not retarded. It's like having blue eyes or brown eyes. They're just different."
Good for her.
When I heard that, I said, "I can die tomorrow."
Yes, we did it.
It's done. But I didn't die. So I kept on going. But my daughter is another one who has shared, and I love to think that idea lives in her, in the way she conceives the world, and in the way she will decide to lead her life. And to be fair, her mom, who is my ex-wife now, but to be fair, her mom, who always supported me all along our marriage.
Yeah.
And the only time that she said no was when I wanted to go, and I now I know that it was crazy. I wanted to go as a volunteer to Haiti. Do you remember the big earthquake?
Yeah.
I wanted to go as a volunteer to Haiti. It was very dangerous, and she said, "No, you have a daughter. That's it. This is too much, and if you go, I'll divorce you." So I didn't go, and we ended up divorcing for the reasons.
Oh, too bad.
But divorce is as well another way to give hope. Like we thought that we are the only human beings that I know that didn't convert divorce into a problem, because in fact divorce is a solution to a problem in the first place.
Interesting way to put it.
So yeah, divorce is a solution. Why do we have to make the divorce a problem? You know?
That's an interesting way. Yeah, the problem was there before the divorce. The divorce is not the origin.
We're to solve the problem.
You ready for question 3?
Sure.
Okay. Take us back to a time, a place, kind of paint that picture and help us understand when you've really had to personally use the hope that you're talking about.
There were, I guess there are many times. I can think about one. Part of my job is related to understand how discrimination works, acts, and happens. And there's no way I can do what I do without facing the fact that discrimination is part of the problem, right?
Right.
So you cannot talk about diversity or disabilities or social inclusion if you don't talk about discrimination.
Right.
So this has taken time and serious study and reading about what is discrimination as a part of human nature and human behavior in terms of cultural and social development all along our story as human beings.
Sure.
And what I've seen is that among the groups that I work with that are actually discriminated all the time by general society, it exists a profound and very painful trans discrimination. Like, there is homophobia against homosexuals, either men or women.
Sure.
And all the other sexual orientations.
Sure.
But within the group, within the collective, the LGBT community,
Sure.
there is something that we call transphobia.
Really?
Which is the hate from lesbians to homosexuals or from homosexuals to transgenders. And there are very violent, discriminative, constant hate behaviors, which is so. One of the experiences that I wanted to share you with is when Stimulo had, it still has a shelter. It's like a long-term care facility for people that have severe intellectual disabilities and that really cannot be involved in other kind of programs towards independent life.
Sure.
Although we offer and enhance that, but there were these parents that came with with a son who was already 25 years, something like that. He was a young man, but he was an adult already, and they liked the program, and they took their son to live with us because they were old and they couldn't take care of him, and because he needed a place with activities where Stimulus seemed to be the best place. And other families didn't like him because he would shout, scream, or hit his face, which was absolutely natural for me. And I understood that it was a way to express something. And I knew that I needed time to understand what that something meant. So I talked to my staff and we started to think about it together as a team. What he is trying to tell us when he does this. But there was this family who came, asked for an appointment to talk very seriously to me because they didn't want this young man, to be among the rest of the residents.
Wow.
And it sounded so out of question to me that I said, no, why? And they insisted. And they were very, very pushy. And I started to feel very uncomfortable. And then they said that if I didn't reject this admission, they would withdraw their daughter.
Wow.
And this was a family who had certain level of influence,
Sure,
in terms of opinion, because they were one of the very few families who were actually very wealthy. And they had their children, their daughter there, but as well they were very important donors for...
Yeah, you don't want to lose those. Yeah.
And of course, I didn't want to lose anybody, right? And I said, they told me, and the phrase was built like this: listen, Alejandro, if you allow this guy to be among the rest of the residents, we will withdraw our daughter and we will look for another place for her. And we will withdraw as well our financial support. And I said, and you know very well that without our financial support, this project will be very difficult to keep on going. And I said, you're absolutely right, but I have a news for you. If I leave, this project will be impossible. Because it depends on me, because it's my project. And because I know exactly how to do it. And because I'm the only one who's crazy enough to engage with this organization. Okay? So if this young man goes, I will go. And you and all the rest of the families will have to deal with that.
Wow.
Chris, my legs were shaking.
I bet. That's a serious poker game right there.
It was risky, and I was younger at that time. I had less strength, and
Yeah.
but it was simply that justice. How can I put this? Justice needs risk,
Yeah.
and risk of sacrificing something at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
And when justice wins, everybody takes its own place.
Interesting.
So this family stayed, the other guy was welcomed, and I kept on working.
That's great.
There
What
was
a
a
great
balance
story.
there.
Wow.
But this is discrimination among the same groups.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I know so often I'm sure I'm guilty of the same thing, but I probably just don't see it as blatantly because it's not another group, it's my own group. Of course, I can talk about my own group, but that's not even appropriate there.
Listen, one thing is that as a person, we learn to discriminate. This is a given fact in the way we are educated, especially in Western education and Western cultures. We discriminate,
Mm-hmm.
and there is at the base there is a positive discrimination, like toilets for men and for ladies.
Sure.
That's positive. That's good.
Yeah.
Right. We would feel less comfortable going to the loo with women.
Right.
And women wouldn't like that either.
Sure.
So there is a positive discrimination. At a certain point, we need to categorize in order to work better, to function,
Sure. Yeah.
right? But then this categorization becomes discrimination, and with discrimination comes isolation, and with isolation comes the lack of opportunities. That's when we get lost.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You're absolutely right.
But we learn to categorize, and with categorization, sometimes we get into discrimination fields. You have to be aware and locate when you are having a prejudice, or where you're being, where you're isolating someone, when you're being a bully. Mm-hmm. We all are bullies at a certain point with someone at school, and we were bullied at school. But then we grow up, and as a society, we're growing up as well.
Yeah.
And we're trying to stop certain ways of living. 100 years ago, slavery was okay.
Yeah.
Somebody changed the paradigm.
I'm glad they did. Seriously, yeah.
And it took a lot of lives,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of tears.
Mm-hmm.
But
But somebody was brave enough to change the paradigm
and we know
create doubt and go through the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we all know who they are, and we're talking about important figures, Martin Luther King, and we're talking about Nelson Mandela, and people that, of course, I don't feel myself, or no, not at all. I think these were genius people that created a new format for our societies. All I'm doing is, under that light of these big geniuses, I am trying to accommodate my professional experience, my professional development, doing something important for those people that are still in groups that are constantly discriminated and in a situation where they become vulnerable. Nobody's vulnerable because of being a woman, or because being black, or because being gay. They become vulnerable because they lack of opportunities because of these conditions or natures.
Mm-hmm. Good point. That's a good distinction too. All right, so you're getting into question 4, which is great. Question 4 is, how are you sharing hope with people today? And you're jumping right into that. It's very, very obvious. So you're making a good distinction. The vulnerability doesn't come from who we are when we're born. It comes from society's projection on who we are. It's the script that society wants to give us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's not the script I'm born with.
No, not at all.
But after a while, we get so beat down trying to say our own script, and people keep stuffing another script in our mouth. that we kind of give up a little bit and take it, and we shouldn't.
Yeah, true.
So fill us in a little more. So you are doing what? Question 4 is, what are you doing to share hope today? So tell us about your organization, both the consulting and the nonprofit side, for-profit and nonprofit. I know you got both sides going here.
Yeah, well, the organization Stimulo as such is...
Spell the name of that so we can write that down.
Stimulo.
Great. Okay, good.
Stimulo is like the center. It's a platform already of many activities and many effects. Stimulo itself, after 14 years of leading this organization, I've seen it grow, expand, come back. It's alive.
Yeah.
And these movements obey to different stages of the life of the organization that we all have to understand that growth, it's never a continuum line.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, especially we're talking about organizations that depend on, for instance, economical situations of the country where they are at.
Yeah.
Because financially we depend on donations, and donations can be more generous or less generous depending on what is going on in the world.
Absolutely.
So we have to adjust, adapt, create new programs, or decrease the number of employees in order to preserve those programs. So it's always a decision making and plans and all that.
Right.
Now Stimulo is going through a phase of change, and actually I just had a meeting before I had the interview with you guys with some of the developers of one of the best programs that Stimulo has ever developed, which is the community development program. And what we do there is that we go to very poor communities and indigenous communities in different areas of the province or other provinces. And we approach the Convention of Human Rights of People with Disabilities to the people with disabilities that live in those communities and their families. Awesome. That's what basically through a lot of activities, but that's our target.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and yeah, the outputs are amazing. Really, the outputs of this program they're amazing.
That's so cool. That's extremely complicated and challenging. Just thinking through the logistics of that and and the cultural stepping stones you have to cross just to get a conversation. That's a lot of work. Yeah, and in certain communities we need translators because they don't speak Spanish. They speak Nahuatl, the ancient Mexican language. And we don't speak Nahuatl, although some of them have learned certain words. But we deliver workshops about the International Convention. How can you approach the International Convention that has such a specific language to people that don't speak Spanish? Sure.
When we have is the convention in Spanish or English or French, but we don't have it in Nahuatl.
Yeah.
So from there, for instance, this is a great example. From there, we demand to the government the translations of the international conventions to indigenous languages. That in Mexico we have around 33 alive indigenous languages.
Wow.
And the conventions do not exist in those languages. So once we detect a need, we create strategies, even if it's not anymore about disabilities.
Yeah.
Probably it goes away from that, but it seeks justice and access to the information, to the opportunities.
That's so cool.
So we have to be flexible enough. So what I'm doing now, precisely, is with this group of professionists that are younger than me, I am trying to create a new organization, which will be a nonprofit as well, that will collect all these issues that Stimulo have detected. And that because they were not part of the program or we didn't ask at the beginning in the composition of the budget, we didn't present that when we were trying to get the grant, for instance. We didn't present it because it was not an issue, because it was in prison, because we didn't know about it.
Sure.
But once it pops out, we know that we have to do something about it, but we cannot do it from that program. So there are a lot of things and events and facts that we want to do something about too.
Right.
So what I'm doing is with these people, you wanted to do something about gender issue. You wanted to do something about translating the conventions. So these are different projects that need different strategies. And we're creating another organization that will gather all these missing points to make a better place.
Awesome. Love it.
And that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm teaching because I want to start little by little withdraw from Stimulo, from being the CEO. And I think I can do a lot of things else. I've been invited to work in another foundation that what they're doing is they want to reduce violence through art.
Oh, cool.
Through artistic activities, and they have a great experience in prisons, and they want to do it in Tijuana and Los Angeles. They want to start to explore violent communities in the borders.
I think that's great. That's great. That's such a need.
So they called me there, and they called me as well from a national broadcasting. They want to open a program, and it's a whole segment on TV about social inclusion and diversity. Wow. And they want me to be the. I mean, it's a weird invitation, but I'm excited about it. And they want me to be the conductor of these programs, and as well sort of the researcher and producer, which I think it's great because I can give actually opportunity to a lot of people that I know that they're doing incredible projects.
Yeah, that's great.
And give them the opportunity to be known through TV, which is an incredibly powerful weapon that can be very positively used. I'm not against TV. On the contrary, I think TV can be great. Yeah. So there are a lot of other things that I can be doing, and I think I deserve to withdraw and to go and explore other areas. Violence and art, it's something that I've never done, but they want me and they have invited me, and why not?
I think it's perfect. I think it fits well too. It's a good next chapter in the story, you know? I will learn. All right, you ready for question 5?
Sure.
Tell us the simple ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s to sharing hope or growing in hope. So when we get off this call today and we're all done listening to you talk and watching you on this YouTube video, what can we do next to share hope with somebody around us?
Be kind to each other. Relationships, social relationships are the most important assets for anybody's project in anybody's life. Social relationships. They might not think like you, they might not know what you do, but the moment you need someone, you will be able to explain, convince, and change a paradigm.
Yeah.
So,
well said.
First of all, social relationships. Be kind. Be kind. Second of all, beyond honesty, transparency. Because honesty is like, you have to trust me. Do not invite people to trust you. Never. Never. People is not educated to trust. We don't trust each other.
You're right.
And asking someone to trust you, it's quite a challenge. Be transparent. If you're transparent, you will never, never have to ask someone to trust you, but they will never do anything else but trust you.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Third, be coherent. If I talk about discrimination and I talk about trans discrimination and I want to reduce this as a problem, I will always, always, always be attentive to the possibility to the possibility of being discriminative at a certain point. Mm-hmm. And be aware of that. Mm-hmm. It's not about not doing it. It's about realizing when you're doing it and apologize and take it back and start again.
Great. Good advice.
So relationships, transparency, and coherence, mm-hmm. and people will support you. And it's successful. For some reason, there's this guy with a great project called Hope, Chris, that called me because something is working.
Well, it's working. I really appreciate you sharing with us, kind of letting us look under the hood to see how it works. I really do appreciate it.
And one more.
Yeah.
Kiss. Spend more time kissing.
It's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, kissing is great.
That's awesome.
So if you can spend 5 more minutes every day kissing, do it.
That's a great piece of advice. You're the first person who said that as well. I love it.
I think it was a great opportunity to give hope to the world. And kissing will make this world a lot more hopeful.
That's so true.
If we don't kiss, we're hopeless.
That's great. I love it. What a great way to end. All right, so tell us this before we end. We got to know where to find you. Social media, websites. Where can we keep track with you?
We're rebuilding our website, but you can always get in contact with me. We have a web page. We have a Facebook page of Stimulo, mm-hmm. and we have my personal web page. And
great.
That's why I'm a little bit impressed of how you found me, because I haven't been very responsible with this windows to the net and all that. Stimulo has grown, and Stimulo is what it is, thanks to the people that have accompanied us all along the time. But I'm Alejandro Brauer. You will find me on Facebook, and be welcome to write me and send invitations. On Skype, I'm Alejandro Brauer Vega, you know that. Mm-hmm. And on Facebook, we have a page for Stimulo, which is there. And the new organization, daughter of Stimulo, will be on Facebook too, and linked, both of them. And we will eventually have our webpage for both organizations.
Awesome. Okay. Well, do me a favor, as you update those things, shoot me a link, because we'll update the website. So anybody watching or listening, you can go to isharehope.com. That's our website, and click on Alejandro's name, and you will see all of his links, story, pictures, everything, so you can get in touch with him. You can follow what he's doing, and you can stay engaged there, because he's doing obviously great work. So
again, thank you.
isharehope.com is the easiest place, or we'll be pushing this stuff out also on our Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, whatever. It's Chris Williams HQ, and you can join the conversation there, and we'll send you all his info as well. So, man. All right, last thing. Each of our guests say their name and I Share Hope. So say your name and I Share Hope. And we're going to take that audio clip and put it at the beginning of the podcast.
I am Alejandro Brauer, and I Share Hope.
Perfect. Man, I love it. Really can't thank you enough. Thank you for bringing us hope from Mexico City.
Thankful. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Been brilliant. Have a great afternoon.
Of course, and I hope to remain in touch with you.
We will. Sounds great.
So this interview will be on your webpage soon, right?
It will. So here's how this works. We're probably 2-3 months ahead. Again, we have a lot of people to interview, and so what we do is we get them ready. We release one per week. That's how we're executing the dates. So every Thursday morning, Eastern Time, U.S., we release another interview. And so we will let you know, and we'll let everybody listening, obviously everybody listening, you just found out about this. That's why you're listening, right? Or watching. But we'll let you know before this thing launches, so you can put it out on your social networks or share it with your friends, family, whoever you want to do it with.
Okay, so you will let me know.
I will, for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, man.
Take care.
Great talking to you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've just listened to I Share Hope. If you're ready to make a change, head to our website at isharehope.com and claim your free copy of the Top 10 Actions of Hope from World Leaders to use hope in your own life. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.